Antonelli is not beating Russell because of a secret button. He is doing something much more dangerous. He is making the Mercedes work at its absolute limit, attacking early, using the car's energy when it matters most, and turning every clean finish into another victory. But Russell's biggest chance to do the same disappeared when his car shut down while fighting for the lead. That is the hidden story. A 19-year-old rookie has won every race he has finished. Russell lost a possible victory to a battery failure, and the championship gap exploded from 18 points to 43 in one brutal afternoon. So the question is not whether Antonelli has access to something Russell is banned from using. The real question is worse. What if Antonelli's aggressive style only looks unstoppable because Mercedes keeps giving him the full weapon, while Russell keeps losing access at the exact moment he needs it most? Subscribe to the channel. To understand why this story is so uncomfortable for Mercedes, you have to separate the myth from the reality. The myth is simple. Antonelli has found a secret way to use the car that Russell cannot access. It sounds dramatic. It sounds like a hidden mode, a private system, something buried inside the Mercedes that only the rookie has learned how to unlock. But the reality is more dangerous. Because the source does not confirm a secret system. It does not confirm a private setting. It does not confirm that Russell is blocked from using anything Antonelli can use. What it reveals is something harder to fight. Antonelli is getting the full Mercedes at the right moments. Russell is not. And in Formula 1, timing can be just as powerful as talent. Because the Mercedes is not a normal car this season. It is not a machine that is just slightly better than the rest. It has been the dominant force, the car capable of winning everywhere, the car that should have made the championship feel controlled. But dominance has a weakness when reliability is unstable. A fast car creates opportunity. A fragile fast car creates fear. That is the contradiction sitting underneath the entire Antonelli and Russell rivalry. When the Mercedes works, it can look untouchable. When the battery system fails, the race is over. No recovery. No strategy rescue. No chance for the driver to fight back. The car simply shuts down, and all the performance disappears in one brutal moment. That is why the battery problem matters so much. Under the new power unit rules, electrical deployment is more important than ever. The energy store, the battery, the system that helps deliver electrical power, is not just supporting the car. It is part of the performance identity of the car. The Mercedes can attack because that system gives it power. But the same system has also become the danger point. That is where Russell's story turns painful. In Canada, Russell had everything he needed to change the season. He was on pole. He was fighting Antonelli directly for the lead. He was not waiting for luck. He was not asking for a miracle. He was in the exact position where a driver proves he can take control of a championship fight. Then the car died. The energy recovery system suffered a sudden shutdown. The battery failure caused serious damage. Mercedes later connected the issue to heat inside the battery, with signs of deterioration from excessive temperature. In other words, Russell was not denied access by team politics. He was denied access by failure. The full Mercedes, the version that could have carried him into a direct win fight, vanished before the battle could reach its natural ending. And that is what makes the situation so brutal. Because from the outside, people only see the result. Antonelli wins. Russell retires. The points gap grows. The rookie looks stronger. But inside the data, the story is much more complicated. Russell was not outside the fight. He was in it. He was not beaten at the finish. He never got there. And in a teammate rivalry, that difference matters, even if the championship table does not care. The table only records the damage. After Canada, Antonelli's lead over Russell exploded from 18 points to 43. That is the kind of swing that changes how everyone talks about a season. Suddenly, the rookie is not just ahead. He is pulling away. Russell is not just behind. He is under pressure. That is the moment a narrative becomes heavy. And Antonelli has been brilliant at using that weight. He is aggressive, but not reckless in the way people sometimes imagine. The important part is that he attacks when the opportunity is alive. He takes the car into the window where the Mercedes looks strongest. He commits. He converts. And when the car survives, he turns those moments into victories. That is the real trick. Not a secret system. A ruthless connection between aggression, confidence, and opportunity. Antonelli drives as if the Mercedes will answer him. Russell has already felt what happens when it does not. That difference can change everything. A driver who trusts the car can ask more from it. He can lean on the energy deployment. He can fight longer. He can make a move with full commitment, believing the machine will still be there on corner exit, on the next straight, on the next lap. A driver who has lost a possible victory to a sudden shutdown carries a different memory. Even if he pushes just as hard, the emotional background is not the same. That does not mean Russell is afraid. It means Russell has evidence. Evidence that the car can betray him at the worst possible moment. And evidence is much harder to ignore than fear. This is where Antonelli's advantage becomes psychological. Every clean finish gives him more belief. Every win teaches him that attack is rewarded. Every time he survives a race and Russell loses ground, the Mercedes garage sees the same pattern being reinforced. Antonelli attacks, and the result arrives. Russell attacks, and the season finds a way to punish him. That may not be fair. But Formula One is not built on fairness. It is built on outcomes. And outcomes shape power inside a team. The more Antonelli wins, the easier it becomes for the team to see him as the driver extracting the maximum from the car. The more Russell loses chances, the harder it becomes for him to stop the outside world from reducing his season to the gap in the standings. That is why this is not only a technical issue. It is a human issue. Because Russell does not just need more pace. He needs a clean fight. He needs the car to hold together when he is leading, defending, attacking, and answering Antonelli. He needs a race where the result cannot be explained by a battery failure, a shutdown, or a lost opportunity. He needs proof. And Antonelli needs something different. He needs to prove that the lead is not just timing. He needs to prove that his wins are not only a product of the car surviving when Russell's did not. He needs to show that when both Mercedes cars reach the finish cleanly, he can still be the driver who takes control. That is what makes the next direct battle so important. Because the rivalry is still missing the cleanest possible answer. What happens when Russell and Antonelli are both at the front, both pushing, both with healthy cars, both asking the full Mercedes system to deliver, and both reaching the end? Canada should have given that answer. It did not. And because it did not, the tension is still alive. Mercedes know this. Toto Wolff knows this. That is why the reliability comments were so sharp. He said the team cannot compete for a championship if every second race, a car loses points. That is not just frustration over lost constructors' points. It is an admission that the reliability crisis is distorting the fight. Because if the car fails randomly, the team cannot build a fair picture. One driver loses 25 points. Another loses 18. A teammate benefits 1 week, suffers the next. The championship shifts, not only through driving, but through survival. And survival should not be the thing deciding a team as powerful as Mercedes. But right now, it might be. The source points to the battery as the central concern. The failures are not identical, but they come from the same general area. That is the phrase Mercedes cannot escape, because it suggests the issue is not fully isolated. A single failure can be explained. A repeating pattern becomes a crisis. And when the crisis sits inside the same system that gives the car its strength, the team is trapped between speed and safety. Turn everything down too much, and the car may lose its edge. Push too hard, and the battery may fail again. That is the hidden pressure behind Antonelli's aggressive driving. Aggression only works if the machine tolerates it. Antonelli's season has been built on the car tolerating it more often than not. Russell's season has been damaged by the car failing when he needed that same tolerance most. So when people say Antonelli is activating something Russell cannot access, the truth is more subtle. Antonelli is activating belief. He is activating the team's confidence in his momentum. He is activating the full potential of the car when it survives. Russell is trying to activate the same thing, but his strongest attempt was interrupted by the battery failure that now defines the season's tension. That is why the word access matters. Russell has access to the same equipment. But he has not had equal access to the same uninterrupted opportunity. And that difference can bury a driver in a title fight. Because a championship is not only decided by who can drive fastest on one lap. It is decided by who gets the cleanest sequence of chances. Who turns front row starts into wins. Who survives the weekends where the car is fragile. Who benefits when the teammate suffers. Who keeps collecting points while the other is left explaining what might have happened. Antonelli has been on the right side of that sequence. Russell has not. And now the entire Mercedes story is being shaped by that imbalance. That is why this first block matters so much. Before we talk about pure pace, before we talk about driving style, before we talk about whether Antonelli is genuinely more aggressive, we have to understand the foundation. The Mercedes system is powerful, but unstable. Antonelli has turned the powerful version into wins. Russell has been wounded by the unstable version at the worst possible moment. And until Mercedes solve that contradiction, every comparison between them will carry a hidden question. Are we watching Antonelli overpower Russell? Or are we watching Russell chase a teammate who has had more chances to show what the full Mercedes can really do? And now the question becomes sharper. If Antonelli does not have a secret system, what exactly is he doing that makes the Mercedes look so much more alive underneath him? This is where the word aggressive needs to be understood carefully. Aggressive does not mean reckless. It does not mean throwing the car into corners without thought. It does not mean ignoring tire life or forcing moves that are not there. At this level, aggression is much more precise. It is timing. It is commitment. It is knowing when the car has grip, when the battery deployment is available, when the tires are ready, and when the driver ahead is vulnerable for only half a second. Antonelli's aggression seems dangerous because it arrives early. He does not wait for a race to come toward him. He pulls the race toward himself. And that matters in this Mercedes, because the car's biggest strength is also tied to how confidently the driver uses its energy. The new power unit relies heavily on electrical deployment. That means the driver's attack, defense, and acceleration are all connected to how the system delivers stored energy at the right time. In simple language, the Mercedes can give the driver a powerful punch. But the driver has to be close enough, brave enough, and precise enough to throw it. Antonelli has been throwing it. That is why his races have felt so forceful. He attacks in the moments where hesitation would kill the opportunity. He uses the car when the window opens, not after it begins to close. He puts pressure on the opponent before the opponent has fully settled. That kind of driving can make a car look sharper than it really is. Because when a driver commits at the exact moment the car is ready, everything looks connected. The braking point, the corner exit, the energy deployment, the traction, the move down the straight. It all feels like one action. And that is where Russell's situation becomes painful. Russell can drive with precision. He can lead races. He can qualify at the front. Canada proved that. He was on pole. He was fighting for the lead. He had the platform to use the Mercedes in the same way. But then the system failed. That creates a strange comparison. Antonelli's aggression is judged by the races that finished. Russell's opportunity is judged by the race that did not. And in Formula 1, finished evidence always beats unfinished possibility. That is the cruel math of the sport. A win becomes history. A potential win becomes a sentence that starts with what if. And drivers hate living inside what if. This is why the telemetry angle matters so much. The data does not only show lap times. It shows stress. It shows load. It shows how the car behaves when the driver asks everything from it. In Mercedes' case, that data has become the only map to a deeper problem, because the battery failures are not simple and not all identical. The car is telling engineers the same kind of story in different ways. Battery temperature, energy recovery behavior, shutdown sequence, damage after failure, excessive heat, deterioration. Symptoms that look similar, even when the exact cause may not be identical. That means every aggressive phase of a race has two meanings. On the track, it is a chance to gain position. Inside the data, it is a stress test. When Antonelli attacks and the car survives, it becomes proof of speed. When Russell attacks and the car fails, it becomes evidence of risk. That is the central imbalance. Not equipment access. Outcome access. Antonelli has had more access to completed moments. Completed battles. Completed wins. Completed statements. Russell has had one of his most important moments cut off before the result could speak. And once that happens, the entire conversation becomes distorted. Because people do not remember the race Russell might have won as strongly as the race Antonelli did win. They remember the trophy. They remember the points. They remember the championship lead. They remember the rookie who kept arriving at the end when it mattered. This is how a teammate begins to look unbeatable. Not only by being faster, by being the driver whose best moments survive. But there is another layer. Antonelli's youth may actually help him here. A more experienced driver sometimes understands too much. He knows the cost of failure. He knows what a title fight can take away. He knows how one retirement can poison a season. He knows that every technical issue becomes part of a bigger pattern. Russell knows all of that. Antonelli, in his debut season, appears to be driving with a different emotional weight. Not careless. Not ignorant. But free. He attacks as if the car will respond. He carries the instinct of a driver who has not yet been trained by years of disappointment to protect against every possible collapse. That freedom can be powerful. It can make a driver use the car more naturally. It can make him commit before doubt enters the decision. It can make him feel like he is creating the race, instead of defending against it. And when the car is fast, that matters. Because a dominant car rewards confidence. The Mercedes has enough performance to let a driver attack. The question is whether the driver believes the car will be there when he does. Antonelli has built that belief through victories. Russell has had that belief damaged by Canada.